Hey everyone, Scott with the Scottman. We're heading west on US Highway 10 today, although we're currently also running concurrent with Highway 127. So we're in the Clare, Michigan area right now. It's a beautiful morning out today. So I'm basically continuing my drive on US Highway 10 west, well, not on the same day, because I previously filmed the video of Highway 10 going from where it begins at I-75 near Bay City, and I went all the way to where it meets up with 127 just to the northeast of Clare. So today we're going to continue west on Highway 10 from where we ended the last video, which I did back in the late winter. So you'll notice that it does not look like winter anymore, it looks more like summer. And we're going to be heading all the way to...
In 2 miles, use the right two lanes to take exit 16.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off the GPS. Don't really need it. Oh, wait, now I'm lost. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, what I was trying to say is I'm going to be going all the way to Highway 131. Yeah, one thing I don't understand is that there is an exit here. Well, it's for the rest area, but there's also... I need to get over. Oh, I better hold on. There's a car pulled over there, so I better wait a little bit longer. But one thing I've never understood when I've come through here is that at that rest area, there is a Michigan Welcome Center. We are in the center of Michigan right now. Or like near the center of Michigan. And there's a welcome center. It's like we're far away from any state or international border. It's like something I never really understood. Okay, so we're about to reach the point where we will be branching away or branching off of 127. We're going to continue north on 127. That'll take us up toward Harrison and eventually the Mackinac Bridge. Well, before that, it ends up at I-75 south of Grayling, and then it continues along I-75, go up to Grayling, Gaylord, and then eventually up to Mackinac City. But we're going to be staying on Highway 10 today. So to do that, we will continue this way as we now start to head more due west. So as we'll see in a few miles or so from now, Highway 10 is not entirely a freeway. So far it has been, if you've been coming from I-75, it's been entirely a freeway so far, but the freeway portion ends once we get up to M115. So yeah, continuing west on Highway 10, yeah, this first takes us over to the town of Farwell, which is just to the northwest of Clare, and then, of course, that's where the freeway portion of Highway 10 ends, and then it continues west toward Evert, and then Reed City, and eventually to Baldwin, and then it ends up in Ludington, which, a little fun fact, I'm going to Ludington today, so I need to film a new video there, because I last filmed a video in Ludington several years ago. It was with pretty bad video quality, so I definitely want to go back to film that. So I have 87 miles to go to Ludington, but obviously I'm not filming all the way to Ludington in this video. But yeah, it's like to film Highway 10 going west from Reed City, which is where 131 is, I pretty much have to go back to Ludington again. Or, well, not necessarily have to go to Ludington, I could like to go down like the Petwater or something. So, I don't see me filming the westernmost portion of Highway 10 in Michigan this year or anything. But yeah, Highway 10 is not just in Michigan. It starts in Michigan, just west of Bay City, but it goes all the way over to... It meets up with I-94 in the Fargo, North Dakota area. Because Highway 10, like, it continues into Wisconsin, but of course you have Lake Michigan in between Wisconsin and Michigan. So you have to take the big ferry across Lake Michigan over to Manitowoc, Wisconsin. And then Highway 10 continues through Wisconsin and Minnesota and then ends up in Fargo, North Dakota. Because, yeah, when I did the road trip over to the Dakotas 2 years ago, I remember driving on those western portions of Highway 10. I think in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Anyway, so yeah, Highway 10, like, it does not go all the way to the west coast, and it doesn't go all the way to the east coast. Yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, but yeah, it is a beautiful day out today. It's pretty chilly out too. My car thermometer's, it's almost 9 o'clock. My car thermometer is reading 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Convert that to Celsius, that's getting close to, that's just a little under 14 degrees. And we're like the middle of June. So I think we're only a couple days away from the summer solstice, or the first day of summer. But yeah, we had a pretty, I wouldn't say a pretty bad heat wave, but we had some really warm temperatures this past week. I think one day got in the mid to upper 90s. So it was really, really hot. So things have cooled down tremendously. But yeah, there's very little, if any, clouds in the sky, which I'm really happy about, because I've been trying to refilm a new video in Ludington for over a year, because I've had to cancel at least 2, if not maybe even 3 times because of weather. So I'm glad I finally had an opportunity to do this today. So coming up in less than a mile, we have the exit for M115, which M115 starts in Clare and then goes through Farwell, but most people don't take M115 from there. They'll usually get off at this exit, because M115 goes up to Cadillac and it continues northwest toward Copper Mountain, which is a ski area during the winter time, of course, and then it goes up toward the Benzonia, Beulah area, but eventually ends up in Frankfort, Michigan, over on Lake Michigan, which is a very beautiful part of the state. It's just to the south of Sleeping Bear Dunes. So anyway, that's the exit there for M115. So it's a very popular exit for different destinations up north, especially, and it's also another way to get to Traverse City, although you have to take M37 north. But yeah, so yeah, now we're starting to see signs for the end of the freeway. So we're approaching the end of the freeway portion of this video. So yeah, we're going to be seeing a big drop in the speed limit as we go down from 75 miles per hour to, I think, down to 55. So it's a pretty big drop. So for the rest of this video, and if you were to continue west, even off camera, for the rest of Highway 10 all the way to Ludington, it's just a 2-lane. It's generally just a 2-lane highway. So yeah, so as you'll see, we're having to go significantly slower. So 18 miles to Evert, 83 miles to Ludington. So yeah, for me, I have quite a ways to go still. But yeah, I think this will probably be a little bit of a longer video, just because I do want to go all the way to 131. But I will say this is a pretty nice drive, though. a pancake like it was, especially if you come over from Bay City, because the whole area by Bay City and Midlands pretty much flat as a pancake. Maybe with the only exception is if you're like along like the Tittabawassee River or something. Yeah, it's still hard to believe, yeah, when you cross over the bridge for Sanford Lake, that because of that collapse of the dam there in Sanford, that it just looks like a river now. It's not a lake, because I remember used to going over Sanford Lake, seeing a bunch of people on their boats on the lake, but now it's just a river. And I don't even know if that lake will come back or not. Maybe over time, but like a lifetime maybe. It's hard to say. But yeah, it's like coming from the Metro Detroit area, this is not really the fastest way to Ludington for me. It is a good option, but for me, it'd be best to go I-96 to Highway 31. I think the guy behind me wants to pass me. It's like, yeah, it's like on these highways, people, even though they're 55 miles per hour, I'll be honest with you, I'm going a couple over right now, but people love to go 70, 75 on this, or on these type of highways. Like, with a passion. It's like, I don't know, it's like in the state of Michigan, yeah, he's going at least 70, if not 75 right now. It's like I still remember one time when I was younger, I think I was only 17 years old. I just had my driver's license for a year, and I was driving around with my grandfather. Which, yeah, it's still hard to believe that he's been gone for 10 years. Because, yeah, he passed away from complications after a pretty big heart attack. But it's like I used to drive him around to different places. We had a great time driving around. So I remember we were coming back from Port Huron. We're driving back into Romeo, Michigan, and I remember we were driving 55 miles per hour, which is the speed limit on 2-lane highways out in the country, unless it's otherwise posted. And we had this car pass us. I think it was in a pass with care zone, so it was legal. The car ended up passing us, and he was going at least 65, 70 miles per hour. And then, like 5 minutes later, we saw our car pulled over on the side of the road by a police officer, and it was that car. It's like, that's what you call karma. And I think right now at least Michigan State Police is doing a crackdown on speeding right now, so it'd be really funny if we were to see that same person maybe several miles down the road be pulled over because of the high speeds that he was going. Because, yeah, it's like when he was passing, it was at least 70, if not 75 miles per hour. Which, yeah, police officers this weekend will be really cracking down on stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it's one thing to go a few over, because most people do that anyway. But it's another thing if you're driving 15 over the speed limit. It's like, and more than that, that's getting excessive. It's like if you're trying to get to a place on time, it's like leave a little earlier. Especially when you're out in the country like this, where you have beautiful scenery. Look at all these trees, all these homes off the side of the road, and even some of these fields off to the right. It's like, why would you want to just speed through this? Because, yeah, that house on Lake Michigan will be there when you get there. mention, yeah, when I was not on a rant, but more like when I was on that discussion topic, yeah, we entered Osceola County, Michigan, which is the next county to the west of Clare County. But yeah, anyway, like what I was saying, yeah, this isn't the fastest way for me from Metro Detroit to go to Ludington. It's like, yeah, the best option is for me to take I-96 over to Highway 31 near Muskegon and then take 31 up, because that is all freeway. Because Highway 31 between Grand Haven and Ludington is 100% freeway. Or with Highway 10, as you can tell, it's not a freeway anymore once you get west of M115. But I wanted to continue this video, so it's like I knew, it's like, yeah, go ahead and film this. Plus, that way I could, I'll go back the other way for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. 1, change of scenery. 2, it's faster. And 3, there's another stretch of I-96 I still need to film. So I'll be filming a second driving video today. So it's like 3 perfectly good reasons. Yeah, I'm not even sure how far it is to Reed City from here, because that's around the area where I'm going to be ending this video. Let's find out from Google. Directions to Reed City, Michigan.
Reed City is 26 minutes from your location by car and light traffic.
Oh, thank you, Google. So yeah, so it's about, in terms of video time, it's like 26 minutes to Reed City, but Reed City is just to the east of 131, so we probably have about another half hour left to go. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, I would say. And then, of course, eventually later when I would film Highway 10 going into Ludington when I start the video at 131, which I'll film that another day, probably not this year. Oh, okay, no, I was wrong. So now we're entering Osceola County. So that sign I saw earlier was just entering a new township. So anyway, so yeah, a video from 131 to Ludington, that'll probably be another long one too. So then, yeah, if I calculate the time, so that'll probably like another 55 minutes to go after I film that video. So yeah, come to think of it, that video would be really long. Going the rest of the way. Unless I was to shorten it to M37 and just film like a 2-parter. I don't know. I'll figure that out when the time comes. But yeah, it's like we just had a cold front come through, and it's like there's gonna be a nice cool breeze today, especially on Lake Michigan. And yeah, the funny thing is, we're going to get back up to the mid-upper 90s again in 3 days from now. That is a nice thing about the northern part of the United States, especially here in Michigan, or even if you go to like Minnesota or Wisconsin, is that we get cold fronts here even in the summertime. Although, once again, in the July, maybe they may not be as strong of cold fronts, but it's like, yeah, you can get a break from, yeah, you can get your summer heat where you get highs or temperatures in the 80s or even the 90s. Or again, in Celsius, that's like anywhere from like 30 to get close to the 30 degrees, or even it's going up to 35 degrees Celsius. But you get a cold front and cools things down quite nicely. It gets rid of the humidity and it cools things down to where it feels very refreshing. Or if you live in like in the southern part of the United States in the summertime, cold fronts tend not to go far for some reason. So because of that, it's like you don't really get much of that relief. So it's like, yeah, it's like once you get to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and humid, let's say you live in like New Orleans or something, it's pretty much stuck there until at least probably October. And the only cool down you get is if a hurricane comes through, but hurricanes are not good news though. It's like, you don't believe me, just Google Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, like different hurricanes like that, because those hurricanes in particular were very destructive, whether it's because of wind or because of flooding or storm surge, different things like that. Oh, we're coming up at the intersection with M66. So M66 is a pretty big state highway. Take that north, goes up to Lake City. M66 eventually ends up in Charlevoix. And then if you go M66 south, that'll take you down to Ionia, which is down at I-96. Okay, 6 miles to Evert, and then 71 to Ludington now. So then, anyway, continue down M66 south, and then south of Ionia, it'll take you down to Battle Creek, and then it goes down to Sturgis, which Sturgis is just to the north of the border of Michigan and Indiana. And M66 continues south into Indiana, and I think it continues either as another state highway in Indiana or no longer as a state highway. And then it meets up with the Indiana Toll Road. I don't know if there is an interchange with the Indiana Toll Road, though. Anyway, as you can tell, it's a pretty big state highway in Michigan. But yeah, that's the good thing with weather in Michigan. It's like, what do you think of it? Michigan does not really get a lot of natural disasters, knock on wood. Because like when you look at Michigan on the map, it's like it is far away from oceans, it's far away from, again, the Great Lakes don't count, they're not salt water. So you can't get tropical cyclones which form over the Great Lakes. But anyways, it's like, yeah, when it comes to natural disasters, like Michigan does not really get a whole lot of really bad stuff. For example, it's like hurricanes. Yeah, you could get remnants of hurricanes that could come up to Michigan, but they're usually not hurricanes anymore, or even tropical storms. The worst case scenario, they might be tropical depressions, which are just makes things a little windy, and then you might get some heavy rain, which could lead to flooding, unfortunately. So that's one thing. And then earthquakes. Michigan does not have any major fault zones. There could be some small faults in areas, like, because there have been earthquakes in Michigan. So yes, Michigan can get earthquakes, but nothing of the destructive kind. So I think the worst type of earthquakes you can really get in Michigan are generally the ones that the worst thing that happens is that you feel them. That's like the worst thing that may happen is that you may get woken up at night or something if it happens in the middle of the night. Which, yeah, I realized something too. Like, there are two like small earthquakes that have happened in southern Michigan in the past like decade, and I was away from the state when they've happened. One time, an earthquake happened in Kalamazoo area, and I didn't feel it because I was in northeastern Ohio that day. And then an earthquake happened one time, again, not a big one, because we don't get big earthquakes here. And it happened when I was, here's the kicker, I was in San Francisco. where San Francisco is known to get bad earthquakes. Like there was, of course, the last big one was back in 1989 during the World Series. In fact, they even made an episode of Full House, which is, of course, the show Full House is set in San Francisco, where they made an episode based off the 1989 earthquake, where the middle daughter Stephanie had like I think it was like PTSD or something, where she was afraid that her dad Danny Tanner, of course played by the late Bob Saget, rest in peace Bob Saget. We lost an American treasure back in January. But anyways, like to where he wasn't home when the earthquake happened, like I think he was at work or something, and Stephanie was afraid that she was never going to see her dad ever again, but had a hard time really telling him exactly that. So it's like he ended up having to take her to a therapist, and that's when, of course, then it was revealed that she was having this anxiety because she was afraid that another earthquake would happen and would never see her dad ever again. But yeah, Full House is, although the humor can be cheesy at times, but it's a really good family show, really good family sitcom. Matter of fact, they even made a sequel on Netflix called Fuller House, which features DJ Stephanie as being like adults, and then of course the neighbor Kimmy Gibbler moving in with them because they couldn't get Mary Kay and Ashley back for Fuller House. It's amazing when I talk in these videos how I go off on different tangents. But anyway, more about natural disasters in a moment. We're going over the Muskegon River now, and we're now entering the city of Evert. So this is just a little small city. It's like, it doesn't even feel like much of a city, but it is. It's like even has a traffic light too. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna make this traffic light. Yeah, not much of the downtown area, but yeah, nice little small city. I believe Reed City is a little larger. To our discussion topic. So yeah, a little fun fact, when I was growing up, one of my best friends from high school, or I think more so like middle school, like late elementary school, middle school, and then high school as well too. He and his parents had like a summer cabin or cottage or something up in this general area. I remember going up with them a couple times to this area. I think they had a cabin or something right off the Muskegon River. I think just to the west of Evert. And then yeah, also a little small airport out to the left there too. I think it's probably the main airport for Osceola County. I think that's an airport. Yeah, I think it is an airport. Okay, so we're now out of Evert and we're back up to 55 mile per hour speed limits again. Okay, so back to our discussion topic. So anyway, going back to earthquakes. So yeah, other than the small earthquakes, that the worst ones are just ones that you just notice. Yeah, we don't get the destructive ones here. So that's one natural disaster we don't see. As a matter of fact, yeah, there's different memes up online about this where it's like, I survived the Michigan earthquake, and it's just a picture of a lawn chair tipped over, which is pretty amusing. Because yeah, when it comes to like United States and major earthquakes, the only place you really could see them one day is obviously in California, or perhaps even in Western Oregon or Washington, like along like the Cascades. Like, so that'd be like one bad thing about if you were to live over in the major metro areas like San Francisco, LA, San Diego, or like Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, or even going up into Canada, like the Vancouver area. But also, of course, Hawaii, because they have because they're volcanic islands, and of course Alaska too. Heck, I think Alaska is home to the worst earthquake in U.S. recorded history. So I think there was like a magnitude earthquake that was over like 9.0 or something, if I recall. And then of course there's the fault zone that's along what's called the New Madrid area, which is basically the area along the Mississippi River, in the area between like Memphis and St. Louis. Like that area is supposed to be prone to earthquakes as well. Like there was, I think back, I don't know, it was the 18th or the 19th century that had like a very devastating earthquake, to where let's say if it occurred like this year or something, it would totally devastate that entire area, including like Memphis, or like it would have a pretty bad effect on like Memphis, or maybe even going as far north as St. Louis, to where something like that, we would even feel that here. But again, it would just be where you would just notice it. So that's another natural disaster we really don't see in Michigan. At least that's destructive. And then for the other ones, and then it gets to the ones that you can see here. So like tornadoes, yes, Michigan can get tornadoes. But it's pretty rare that you get the really destructive ones. Although there was an EF3 that happened up in Gaylord, Michigan, I think just a month ago, which is pretty unusual to get that far north in Michigan. So yes, Michigan can get tornadoes, but compared to the rest of the Midwest, I'd say that Michigan, don't quote me on this, but Michigan gets the least tornadoes out of any of the other Midwestern states. Because Michigan is not really in Tornado Alley, but again, Michigan can still get them. So it's like if you want to live in the Midwest, but not have to worry about, or have a lower possibility of seeing a tornado, or the lowest probability of seeing a tornado, Michigan's the place to move to. And then, of course, Michigan can get floods too, but usually you don't hear about Michigan flooding as much as like flooding like along like things like especially on the coast, like in the flatlands or things like that, or even if you are in like along the Mississippi River, or like along like the major rivers. But it's like, yeah, low-lying areas, if you get a bunch of like a ton of rain, yeah, there can be flooding, because there's areas of Metro Detroit which can get flooding, unfortunately, after like a lot of heavy rainfall. But I feel like they don't happen as often as other areas in the country. But I'd say flooding especially in a low-lying area, or if we live right along a river that's prone to flooding. That's probably the worst natural disaster that you could really see in Michigan. And of course, when it comes to, and then blizzards, yeah, Michigan can get pretty bad snowstorms, but, and of course you get a lot of terrible snow, or lots of big-time snowfall because of Lake Michigan, or because of lake effect snow from like Lake Michigan, for example. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, Michigan can see a lot of snowstorms in a year, or in the winter, so Michigan's well prepared for stuff like that, to where they can easily plow the roads, treat the roads with like salt and different things like that. But I feel like like when it comes to the rest of the Midwest, like especially like Minnesota or Wisconsin, or more so like the Dakotas or Nebraska, it's like we don't see like the true blizzards where you get like blizzard conditions as much. It can happen, but not as much as like the Dakotas or Minnesota, or heck, even some of the really powerful nor'easters, which can go along the northeastern United States. And it's pretty rare too that we get really big snowfalls, minus some of the lake effect snow that you can get, like especially up near Traverse City, or especially up near like Marquette or Munising in the UP of Michigan, to where like you get like double digit snow in terms of like more than like a foot of snow. Like it can happen, but it's not super common. But it can still happen like once a year maybe, or once every other year. And of course, you can get heat as well too in Michigan in the summertime, as it can get really hot. Although it's pretty rare that we get temperatures going above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Or convert that to Celsius, anything above like 38 degrees. It's pretty rare here. But it has happened. So I think Mayo, Michigan still holds the record for the hottest recorded temperature in Michigan. Which I think went up to like 111 degrees Fahrenheit or something. Which in Celsius, that's just under 45 degrees. So it's kind of unheard of, but we can get triple digit heat, just not very often. I do think the Great Lakes do, and the fact that Michigan's a little bit further to the north, it does affect that a little bit, to where, yeah, we don't get triple digit heat as much, especially compared like to Ohio or Indiana. Then we got some people going a little bit slower here. And unfortunately, it's like, yeah, I can't really pass it because it's 2 cars, so it's not, I don't even know if it's legal to pass a car or pass 2 cars at once. People have done it, but I don't know if it's legal. So it's kind of a double whammy right now. Can also be concerned too, not as much. Oh, we're already getting to Reed City. So we finally have like another few more minutes left in this video. Although we're just at the edge of Reed City right now. And then wildfires, it can happen in Michigan, especially in the northern part of the state, but nowhere near as often as like the western United States. Although if Michigan was to have a really bad drought one year, unfortunately it could possibly happen. So yeah, as a summary, it's like, yeah, Michigan's a pretty good state to move to if you're looking to minimize any threats of natural disasters. Okay, so I see. Yeah, we're not. So yeah, Reed City is larger, but we don't go through Reed City. If you wanted to go into Reed City, you make a left turn at that street there, and that'll take you into Reed City. Because yeah, we're bypassing Reed City to the north. We're right now the northeast. So we got another couple miles to go until we get to 131. So we'll be getting ready to wrap up this video shortly. Yeah, they're starting to slow down a little bit. Oh, someone's, I think the car in front, I think, is about to make a turn. Yep. We even have a stop sign up ahead too. Oh no, not for this here, but for the next intersection. Oh, the Pere Marquette Trail. I think the Pere Marquette Trail, if I'm not mistaken, I think that goes all the way out to Ludington. Gotta get through this three-way. Looks like I had to stop for a little bit here. Okay, so we got about another minute left until we get to 131. So if you want to go to Highway 131, or Highway 131 North, will take you up to Cadillac, and eventually ends up in Kalkaska, and then it ends in Petoskey. 131 South, that'll take you down to first the Big Rapids, but eventually it takes you down to Grand Rapids, and then Kalamazoo and Portage, then down the Three Rivers, and then it ends at the Indiana Toll Road. All right, and here is Highway 131. So hope you enjoyed this video of Highway 10 going west from 127 near Clare, going all the way to Highway 131 here near Reed City. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click that subscribe button to come along and join me for the adventure, and don't forget to click that notification bell so that way you know when a new video goes live. Well, thanks for watching, and this is Scott with Scottman signing out.